What's up, you guys? It's Steve here, and I do not mean to alarm anybody with this video. As you guys know, I'm not a fearmonger here on the channel. I just present to you the facts, keep you informed, let you know what's going on, but we need to have a conversation about what's taking place, as we could be looking at, we're hearing
absolutely catastrophic economic consequences. It would be utterly unprecedented in American history for the United States government to default on its legal obligations.
This is your stimulus check update, stimulus package update, and breaking news update. And yes, this is all going to tie into stimulus. Stick with me. This is pretty crazy. So as you guys know, what we're talking about is the debt ceiling, the U.S. defaulting on its debt, potentially for the first time ever in history, you guys. This has never happened before. This is uncharted territory. So to be honest, nobody really knows the effects or the impacts that we could be looking at. But what we're hearing is, and I'm going to be sharing with you the video footage, a ton of video footage, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen is warning us that we could be hitting this debt ceiling in October of 2021, just next month. Now, again, nobody knows the extent of this, but take a look, you guys. Moody's estimates nearly that 6 million jobs essentially would be lost overnight. In addition to that, the unemployment rate would spike to nearly 9%, pretty much doubling, and also stock prices would plummet by a third, wiping out about 15 trillion in household wealth, and nobody knowing how long it would take for us to recover that back. Now, also, if you're on any federal government programs or associated with or receiving funding from anything with the federal government, it will go bankrupt. SSI, SSDI, child tax credits, anything. It will have no funding whatsoever. Take a look, you guys. Failure to raise the debt ceiling in time could halt payments that millions of Americans rely on, including paychecks to federal workers, Medicare benefits, military salaries, tax refunds, Social Security checks, and payments to federal contractors, as there literally will be no money whatsoever. Now, you might be asking yourself, what? How is this happening? We have never been in this situation before, and what is going on? Well, to explain it as simply as I can think of, imagine that you got a credit card and you got a limit on that credit card, right? Well, let's say that you max it out. Most people would say, oh man, I've got some debt on this credit card, it's maxed out, let me try to pay it off, right? Well, not the federal government. The federal government says, oh man, we've maxed this out and we've got a massive debt that we'll never be able to pay off. Let's just up the limit. So they go ahead and do that. And then when they hit the new limit, they max it out. They just increase it again and again, and they do that over and over all the time. Republicans and Democrats alike agree, just keep increasing the debt ceiling because we'll never be able to pay off this debt, and we definitely do not want to default on the U.S. debt, as the results could be catastrophic, as we're hearing, and you're going to see the video footage here in just a second. So you might be saying, okay, so why then is this happening right now? For the first time ever, the U.S. could default. Well, here's why. Take a look, you guys. Right now, Republicans, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, they are urging GOP senators to oppose the debt ceiling hike, and we're hearing they are not going to vote to increase the debt ceiling, and we're hearing that this is not a bluff. They are not going to vote to increase it. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, why on earth would they do this and put us in this situation? Well, here's why, you guys. This is where it ties into stimulus, because right now we're hearing from Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell that Democrats that control all of Congress have taken what he's calling a temporary pandemic and are turning it into permanent socialism, saying, listen, the pandemic was terrible, I understand, but it's temporary. It will come to an end, but the provisions and the stimulus and all the things that they're doing right now is going to have permanent impacts on our economy, on our country. They're introducing socialism. Inflation is out of control, and there's massive amounts of debts. And as we've seen with other countries historically in the past that go down QE and stimulus at an extreme level, it's hard to stop once you get started. So right now, Mitch McConnell is hitting the brakes, saying it's time to stop, and threatening on the largest level that we have ever seen so far, potentially saying the U.S. will default on its debt if they do not stop. But also, Mitch McConnell also offers a solution. He says, listen, if you guys want to keep pumping out stimulus and you don't want to see a default on the U.S. debt, that's fine. Just take the debt ceiling increase and stick it in your $3.5 trillion stimulus reconciliation bill. You can do it. Maybe that'll unify Democrats to get something done. Go ahead and put it in there. You can get it done on your own. Well, you guys, they could do it on their own, but here's the thing. Take a look at this. Key lawmakers say that Democrats lack the time to raise the debt limit on their own, that they can't do it through the process of reconciliation in time before we hit that debt ceiling. Because as you know, the process of reconciliation is a very lengthy and in-depth process. They literally have to vote on whether or not they're going to argue to start the process of resolution to start the reconciliation bill. Yes, it is a crazy, in-depth process And they're saying to add in now also a debt ceiling increase. They're not going to get it done before we hit the debt ceiling sometime in October. So we could be potentially looking at a default of our U.S. debt. And again, we have never been in this situation before. We don't know the impacts or to what extent we could be looking at, you guys. But I'm going to be sharing with you the video footage. We're going to be hearing warnings from Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen as to what could unfold. We're going to be taking a look at Mitch McConnell, Bernie Sanders, and Elizabeth Warren, who is infuriated at this situation and what we could be experiencing. And you guys, like I said, this is probably not something that anybody wants to hear, but I'll be sure that you stay informed and know what's going on regardless of what takes place. So with that being said, let's watch this video footage, get you caught up as to what they're saying as of today, September 24th, 2021. Now, before we dive in though, if you could do me a quick favor, I know this is probably not what you want to hear, but if you appreciate that I'm keeping you informed on everything unfolding, don't forget to take a second to smash that like button. I would appreciate it. Just lets the algorithm know here on YouTube that you think I'm doing a good job, and they're going to continue to promote my channel and my videos. Now, in addition to that, leave your comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts on all this. Share this out if you think it's going to help out other people. If this is your first time here, don't forget, hit the subscribe button, turn on that notification bell. I'll keep you up to date on everything that's going on right now, and you can come join the viewing community, the Ram fam. I'll keep you up to date. And if you got any specific questions for me, shoot them to me in the DM on Instagram at SteveRam3, you guys. But with that being said, let's go ahead and dive right in, and let's start off with these warnings from Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen on the debt ceiling.
Defaulting on the national debt should be regarded as unthinkable. Failing to increase the debt limit would have absolutely catastrophic economic consequences. It would be utterly unprecedented in American history for the United States government to default on its legal obligations. I believe it would precipitate a financial crisis. It would threaten the jobs and savings of Americans, and at a time when we're still recovering from the COVID pandemic. I would plead with Congress simply to protect the full faith and credit of the United States by acting to raise or suspend the debt limit as soon as possible.
Since Democrats decided to go it alone, they will not get Senate Republicans' help with raising the debt limit. I've explained this clearly and consistently for over 2 months. Democrats decided to govern alone. Their unified democratic government must put basic governing duties ahead of partisan wish lists. If they don't, the consequences for our country would be catastrophic. Republicans are shining a spotlight on the reckless taxing and spending spree that Washington Democrats are riding behind closed doors. The radical left is pushing in all their chips. They want to use this terrible but temporary pandemic as a Trojan horse for permanent socialism. And President Biden, who ran as a unifying moderate, is either powerless to stop them or does not wish to. An avalanche of crushing tax hikes that would hurt families and help China. A government power grab over more of America's healthcare decisions, childcare choices, family finances, and daily lives. Trillions upon trillions more in government spending when families are already facing inflation. None of this, of course, will get a single Republican vote in either chamber. Democrats have not even consulted us. They haven't tried to earn our votes. From the start, they plan to use a party line fast-track process to ram through the Senate this version of their vision of America. That's why Republicans will not help this unified democratic government with its basic duty to raise the debt ceiling. This could not be simpler. If they want to tax, borrow, and spend historic sums of money without our input, they'll have to raise the debt limit without our help. This is the reality. I've been saying this very clearly since July. And I think our Democratic colleagues are finally getting it because now they're fumbling for bogus excuses. They remain confident they can spend trillions of dollars to remake the entire economy in a couple of weeks, But supposedly they just cannot clear this much smaller procedural hurdle without Republican help. Really? Give me a break.
There you have it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. We heard from Janet Yellen warning of catastrophe, and Mitch McConnell saying they're not going to get any Republican support, so Democrats want to just do everything on their own and just ram stimulus and just cause massive inflation and issues for American families. Let me know your thoughts, you guys. But now we're going to be seeing a response from Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. And let's start off with Elizabeth Warren, who is just infuriated. Then we're going to hear from Bernie Sanders, and you're going to hear him give all the warnings of what could be on the horizon, you guys.
I do believe it's time to call the Republicans out over this. Are you kidding me on the debt ceiling? When Donald Trump was president and needed to raise the debt ceiling over and over, Democrats said, yep, we get it. And what are we trying to raise the debt ceiling for now? To cover the debts that were incurred during the Trump administration. And the Republicans want to turn around and play political games with that. They want to threaten to blow up our entire economy and actually the world economy over that. They want to throw our good name in the toilet for their political gains. No, where I am right now is to call out the Republicans who are saying that they are going to behave so irresponsibly as not to vote to increase the debt limit. Keep in mind, this is not about future spending. This is about honoring the promises we made back during the Trump administration.
Mr. President, as chairman of the Senate Budget Committee, I want to say a few words about some of the important budgetary issues that Congress is now facing. I want to focus on the $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill. But before I do that, I want to comment on the looming debt ceiling crisis that we face. Mr. President, Republican leader Mitch McConnell this morning once again reiterated that the Republican Party will not vote to lift the debt ceiling, and in an extraordinarily irresponsible manner, Republicans have indicated that they will not pay the debts incurred under the Trump administration. In his statement, as he has done time and time again, Senator McConnell implies that this debt ceiling has something to do with future spending. It does not. Like anyone who owns a credit card, the payments that are made are for past spending. In this case, spending incurred under the Trump administration. And let us be clear. If the United States, the largest economy in the world, defaults on its debt, it will plunge not only our country, but the entire global economy into what could become a severe economic depression. That means massive unemployment, higher interest rates, severe reduction in government services, and possible cuts in such programs as Social Security and Medicare. The irresponsibility of the Republican leadership is not just something that I worry about.
So there you have it. Man, heavy stuff, I know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Who do you agree with here? What are your thoughts? Do you agree with Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell and the Republicans that, you know what, things are getting out of control, and the Democrats, they're introducing socialism, that they're causing massive amounts of debt, we're seeing crazy inflation, and if they continue on this slippery slope, they won't be able to stop, and in the long term, this could cause massive economic issues, and Mitch McConnell is threatening, on the highest level that we have ever seen so far, a default on U.S. debt? Or do you agree with Democrats that are saying, you know what, no, we're still in the middle of the pandemic, people still need stimulus support, and do not threaten to wreck the entire global economy as a result of what's taking place here, and it's not an introduction of socialism, just temporary help for people? Let me know your thoughts, you guys, down below, but whatever unfolds, I'll be sure to keep you up to date here on the channel, keep you informed, and as always, you guys, thank you so so much for joining me here on the channel. If you made it this far and you haven't already, don't forget, smash that like button. Just takes a second. Really helps me out a ton. Thank you so much. Leave your comments. Share this out. If this is your first time here, hit the subscribe button. Turn on the notification bell. Come join the Ram fam, the viewing community. I'll keep you up to date on all this stuff so you can stay informed. And if you got any specific questions that you want me to answer, I'm very accessible. It's easy to get a hold of me. All you got to do is go to Instagram, shoot me a DM, and I go through all those DMs myself. Might take me a little while because I get a lot of them, but I will go through and do my best to respond to any questions that you got. But with that being said, you guys, hope this reaches you well. I'll catch you in the next video. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.